So I have a very open dialogue with both ABP and ASDA, who I do a lot of work with. We both have businesses to run, all three of us. If one of those links in the chain goes bang, my business is in trouble. We have to be open and honest. Someone was talking about cost of production. There's far too many beef producer meetings where someone will stand up in the audience and say, Mr. Supermarket, you're not paying me enough. To which the supermarket would rightly reply, okay, I'm not paying you enough, but can you tell me your cost of production? To which the answer is, no, but you're not paying me enough. Thank you, please sit down. Just doesn't work. You need to know those numbers, just on the ends of your fingers. I do a lot of work with them. We'll come to the bulls versus steers. I did a linseed trial whereby we tried to increase omega-3 levels. It worked, but the supermarkets are very scared of being sued by customers if it's not 100% guaranteed. So that didn't come off. The future, for me, VIA, video image analysis. Those of you in the beef world here, and I see it a lot, they all look at the arse and go, wow, look at the arse on that. Very simple saying, the arse is what the dog bites when it's alive and what the dog eats when it's dead. It's worthless. VIA is going to, for me, I think, will pay you for what they can sell. They'll pay you more for what they can sell well, and they'll pay you less for what they can't sell. Now, to me, that's fair. It's fair on both sides. Why should they be paying me for knuckle unless it's off to South Africa or something? But why should they be paying me for stuff that they struggle to sell? So I'm going to be doing some trials in the next year or two, hopefully, taking that right through. I've done some this year, and they've been very interesting. And I really believe it will change the type of bulls that people buy, because you'll put length into it and width down the back, rather than walking around and looking at these glorified poodle shows, which don't make anyone any money. And the television advert will come to, hopefully we'll play it at the end, but it showed when the TV advert went out, the sales on the product that was advertised rose by over 200%. So I aim for a 2% return on current land values. We'll come to that in a minute. And a 15% return on capitals tenants, so cows, combines, etc. Reduce the risk by having a corn-horn balance. So when corn's up, horn's down, and vice versa. It normally works out. So when I came home, there was 600 acres, 400 odd tons of grain, 80 cattle. We did some fruit and veg, 10 members of staff. Now here's a little number for you all to go home with and think about. For me, one of the most critical numbers, what is your sales or your turnover per employee? If that number's low, from my point of view, you're inefficient. Can you justify employing that person? The average supermarket, their sales per employee is 185,000. And we were negative in the margin. So we're now at 2,300 acres, 1,400 tons, 1,400 acres, that's acres of grain, 250 cattle, brackets around the fruit and veg, that's me renting it out to people who can do it far better than me and far more cost effective. I can't justify building a cold store for 100 acres of spuds. I employ 4 people, and now the margin is 25%. So there you go, beef, just going down them quickly. Profit before interest, 25%, and without the subsidies, I'm sat at 10%. May not be the highest number, but I believe that the future, I was saying this to Crosby earlier, something that's never, actually David did mention it slightly, the The average household cost for the CAP is 1.25%. So that's 1.25%, but they are benefiting to the tune of 23% from low food prices. If anyone could tell me where I could invest my money tomorrow for a 23% return, I'd give the farm up and chuck all my money in there immediately. So here's a nice graph from Savills. I don't know if you can all see that. The bottom line is wheat. The middle line is what we should all be farming, gold. And the top line is land. Now, here's a little thought for you. From 1952 to today, the price of wheat has gone up 6 times. The price of beef, 15 times. Anyone want to guess what the price of labour's done? 72 times. And anyone want to think about what the price of land's done? It's gone up 110 times. Very quick example, and Alan will probably take me to pieces on this, but everyone says the neighbour's up for sale, we've got to buy it. Let's do a very quick calculation. 200 acres costs him £1 million, just for the sake of easy numbers. He's got to borrow all the money off our nice bank. So let's set that to one side for a minute. And just for the sake of this, he does everything in spring barley. And he does a great job, top of the game. And he makes a profit of £200 an acre. So he comes to the end of the year and his father pats him on the shoulder. Well done, son, you made £40,000. The next day, Alan comes and knocks on the door and says, the interest on that £1 million is £55,000. And by the way, you don't now just get interest-only loans. You need to be paying back the £1 million as well over 20 or 30 years. So that's a bit of a bigger hole. And if anyone in here thinks they can buy prime arable land for £5,000 an acre, up with me, it's £10,000 an acre. Therefore, for having done a fantastic job and being in the top 1% and doing a great job, £40,000 profit, you've had to pay out probably £75,000, you're losing £35,000 an acre. Think carefully before you do anything. And if you have that £1 million and you wish to spend it, fine, but just think, £200 an acre, that's 50 years to pay that back. So that's not just your working life, it's your children's working life. And the price of land doesn't always go up. It does come down as well. So it's high risk. Pedigree cattle, shop window for me, it's 4% of my turnover, but I love it. I don't want to call it a hobby, but it's something I do and really enjoy, and I suppose that's part of my business. Spend a lot of money on bulls. We aim to sell 11 bulls a year to average £3,500. Last year we sold 10 bulls and we averaged £6,000. But again, realistic target, £3,500. The guys say, right, we can work with that. Let's go forward on that. I will spend 35% of the income on buying bulls back. So if we get more money in, the budget increases. If we get less money, the budget decreases. You have to play with what you've got. So Simmental Herd was established long before I was back home in 1979. We are ruthless when we go through the selection. We look at these breed values. We look at calving eases, everything. So what I will do, again, working with the guys I work with, I will produce a piece of paper with all the bull calves and all the heifer calves and two lines, keep, kill. and I'll give it, each stockman will get a piece of paper and I'll have a piece of paper, and we'll work through everything that's been weaned, and they will independently of themselves and of me will go round and we'll tick the boxes. And at the end, we come together and then we can discuss. 95% of the animals are generally, we agree on whether it's a keep or a kill. 5% difference, of which 2% is normally me saying yes, we're keeping it, and as I'm the boss, it normally gets kept, but then they do remind me when it doesn't sell that that was my decision and not theirs. Same with the Charolais. You have to run these animals as a business. If something isn't in calf, dead. Needs to have a calf a year, otherwise it's pointless feeding these animals through the winter. You have to be ruthless. The more ruthless you are, the better herd you have. The average age of my herd at home is 5. We kill 20% of the cows a year. Health status is crucial, so everything is tested against BVD, IBR, Yonis, lepto, all every year. If anything comes back with anything dodgy, immediately isolated, plus all its offspring isolated, removed. It's hard going to start with, but you reap the benefits later. Commercials. I never understood, and Adam's not here, thankfully, I never understood the four-way cross of animals, because Lee Leachman, who invented that four-way cross, which the name has gone from my mind for the minute, always stated that once you've gone over 3, you lost your hybrid vigour. So our cross is a Simmental South Devon Shorthorn, and that is our cross, and then we just try and do the Simmental lot. The Charolais will go over the cows that produce great calves, but we never keep the heifer calves for breeding. So I can go onto the computer very quickly and see, right, she's had a calf a year, her bulls always grade very well, and our heifers sell well, but we never keep them. Right, stick them to a Charolais. We keep the top 26. Bull calves are kept entire. In a slide or two, we'll come to that. The heifers are very few are sold as stores, because I've built up a reputation now of health status and having those animals available for sale. People will come back and buy them off me as their replacements. We calve our commercial heifers at 2 years old. We get an extra year out of them, but we are good to them. So you have to watch what you're doing. But I can't understand people keeping them until they're 3. Doesn't add up. So I've had a huge investment in that cattle handling system. Cost me 25,000 quid. It doesn't make me any money, but it probably saves me 4 man days a year. We TB tested, I fully admit I'm on a 4-year scheme. We TB tested 220 cows in that 3 weeks ago, and they were in batches of 50, and to do 50 cows took 19 minutes. So yes, it's expensive, but going back, thinking about my customer, they want quality meat, stress-free, because that makes far better eating quality. That system provides it. There's no stress. We get a much better rate in our AIing. We're 70% conception rate. The stress is minimal on animal plus human. No shouting, swearing, leaping up and down. And you can probably see a walkway. That walkway goes the whole way round. So no one ever needs to be in that system.